Hello cubers, welcome back to some MTG Vintage Cube. I'm recording this on a beautiful Sunday morning. Hope you are chilling out, relaxing, and thanks for joining me here. This first pack, there's a lot of different directions we can go. There's a Consecrated Sphinx, a Library of Alexandria, Mother of Runes for white, Grim Lavamancer for red. There's a Smuggler's Copter to stay open. A lot of good choices. I do think Nissa, Who Shakes the World, is pretty powerful on her own. My choice here is really between Nissa and Library of Alexandria. Library can really generate a lot of card advantage, but Nissa can kind of win games on her own. She doubles mana and she makes 3/3 hasty vigilance creatures out of lands. This next pack after first picking a Nissa, I'm kind of looking between Elder Gargaroth, Primeval Titan here. Since we did first pick the Nissa, we're leaning towards the green. The question is, which one do I think is better? Now, Primetime is an old staple of Vintage Cube, but I do think Elder Gargaroth is potentially better, and I wouldn't fault either a drafter for picking Gargaroth over Titan there. Here in the third pick, we have some more choices. I don't really want to just draft mono green. Even though it is powerful, I think it's very linear and not, as fun to draft. I'm looking at the Path to Exile or possibly the Chandra Torch of Defiance. Chandra is such a strong planeswalker that we have already a great 5-mana planeswalker. What's another great 4-mana planeswalker behind it? So between Chandra, Path, we're going to pick up Chandra here. Ignoble Hierarch would have been a pick for just staying in mono green. And then here in the fourth pack, we get one of the strongest red 3-drops I think has been printed in a while. Lelia. Being hasty and allowing you to get some pseudo card advantage by casting the top card of your library or playing the top card of your library is very, very strong. Now we've picked up 2 green cards and 2 red cards. I'm very interested in this red fetch in the Scalding Tarn. Not a fan of Zendikar. Liliana, maybe we go down the Planeswalker route, but I think looking at the fact that we have a red fetch here, we just take it while we can get it. Okay, so the green cards in here aren't super strong for acceleration. They're just so-so, and there are no red cards of note, but there is a Gonti and there is a Vraska, and there's a Breeding Pool, which is searchable by the Scalding Tarn. So those are the cards that I am considering right now. Vraska could be pretty strong. Maybe we could just do this Planeswalker thing and go Jund. Our mana is not quite good enough yet to go double green pip in Nissa, double red pip in Chandra, and then double black pip in Gonti. So I'm just going to take the Breeding Pool here because it's fetchable. It kind of just keeps us open to some additional color pairs. And then in this next pack, we have a Golgari Signet, which looks very appealing. There's also an Escape to the Wilds, which is in green and red. I haven't played a lot with Escape to the Wilds. When it resolves, it's very strong, but it is 5 mana. So I'm going to be looking for some acceleration here since we don't have any. Here, trying to decide between some red interaction or a Signet. And I decided to pick up the Firebolt, though I do think the Signet would have been quite good. Now we're back to our first pack to see what's come around. You can see both libraries were taken, both Library of Alexandria and Sylvan Library. So we'll just pick up the Grim Lavamancer. Grim Lavamancer is pretty effective in this format. Here's a Eidolon. I don't know if it'll make the deck. I'm not really looking to do the super low to the ground thing. And then we get past like a 10th pick Daretti. I think Daretti is first pickable. And I kind of think that's a sign that red-black is open. Not a fan of Hazoret, not a fan of Scrap Heap. We'll just take the Hazoret to cut some red. There's a Crop Rotation, which could be interesting, but we're not really in the lands deck. And then there's a 14th pick, Gonti. Okay. Black definitely seems open. I mean, Gonti is another card that I think should be picked in the top, 5, 6 of a pack. And it going last definitely sends a signal. All right, on to pack 2. There's a Strip Mine. Strip Mine's pretty effective at just making your opponent's game plan fall to pieces. Other cards in this pack that I'm considering, the Haunted Ridge would be great fixing, but seeing as late as Daretti went, I'm thinking that Haunted Ridge could wheel. There's also a Remand, which is pretty good, but I'm going to pick up the Strip Mine. Maybe we'll get some recursion with some lands and be able to strip mine out our opponent. Another interesting pack. I see Dire Feet, Daredevil, and Collective Brutality. You can see there's really no green cards going around, and our first 2 picks of Nissa and Primeval Titan are kind of fallen by the wayside. Dire Fleet, Daredevil can protect our Planeswalkers with the first strike, and there's some incidental value later in the game by being able to cast spells from our opponent's graveyard. So we'll pick up the Daredevil. Continuing on, another strong 3-mana Planeswalker, Liliana the Last Hope, and there's also a Goldspan Dragon. But Liliana is very good, just so much value. Planeswalkers just offer so much value in this cube if you're able to get them to stick around, and Liliana the Last Hope is one of the better ones. So with these picks, I think we're going to kind of dump our first 2 picks here, send them to the sideboard. Still potential to splash green if we want to, especially if we see a Renin 6 like we do right here. Renin 6 with the Strip Mine, kind of just what the doctor ordered. Other considerations is Pia and Kiran Nalaar, but I'd rather have the 2-mana Planeswalker than the 4-mana creature. And then there's also a Bloodchief's Thirst walking around. But let's get in here with Renin 6. Next pack, there's a Goblin Ravelmaster and a Koth, and then a Bone Shredder. We already have a decent amount of ways to kill things with Liliana, Daretti, Fireblast, Grim Lavamancer, Chandra. So I don't think we need the Grim Lavamancer. Goblin Ravelmaster is not the greatest red 3-drop. I'm kind of not excited to run it all the time. Yeah, it's good in a red aggressive deck, but we're not really a red aggressive deck right now. We're looking a little bit more red-black, mid-rangey, grindy. I don't think I want Koth. So I'm going to pick up Massacre Worm here just because I think it could blow out some opponents out of nowhere. Then we get past in a Braid, and maybe we're not playing green at all. We get a Blood Crypt here, which is looking perfect for the deck. Scalding Tarn still, and this is why picking up a red fetch so early helped, because Scalding Tarn now fixes for black and red. Avid's okay. There's that Haunted Ridge on the wheel, kind of like we knew it would. There's a Burji. I don't think Burji would make the deck, but potentially. But we will probably pick that up over any of these other cards. We're not looking like a pod deck, unfortunately, with only 7 creatures right now. Ooh, Bitter Blossom versus Goldspan Dragon. I think Bitter Blossom's pretty effective. I'd rather sink 2 mana into my threat than 5 mana, and Bitter Blossom just offers a lot of advantage. There's that Bloodchief's Thirst on the wheel, so that's pretty good. And then we get a Ravelmaster on the wheel as well. So looking at see if Loris is an option. We don't really have a lot of 2 mana value permanents, so I'll take up the Ravelmaster here at pick 13. Scavenger at 14 and the Woe Strider for the board. So I'm keeping this Breeding Pool around because it is fetchable. Here we open up pack 3. There's Nashi Moon's Sage Scion, which is a new card from Kamigawa, a Lotus Petal, a Duress, and a Misty Rainforest. We don't really need the Misty, so I'm looking between Lotus Petal, Duress, and that's about it in this pack. Potentially a Blackleaf Cliff. There's also a Fury. I haven't played with Fury before. It could be good, and I may want to try it. Having so many 3 mana and 4 mana planes, so 3 mana planeswalkers, it'd be super great to pick up this Lotus Petal to help ramp those planeswalkers out. So I'm going to pick up the Petal. Urza Saga, Lightning Bolt, Dark Ritual, Imperial Recruiter. Urza Saga just fetches the Lotus Petal right now. I think Lightning Bolt is just so efficient that it's got to be our pick. Ooh, there's a Taiga. That'll be perfect for splashing green. And again, our Scalding Tarn now fixes for black, red, and green. Polluted Delta. Doesn't look like we need a Polluted Delta. There's Boseiju, and there's also a Huntmaster in here and an Unholy Heat. I'm kind of leaning towards this Huntmaster. Seems fun. Yeah, it's a little bit more of an old school card. Power level is dropped in comparison to some of the other cards in the cube, but can be fun. Now, it'll likely wheel. And for that reason, I'm going to pick up the Polluted Delta just because Polluted Delta can get Breeding Pool, which also is green, and so now it fixes for 3 colors as well. Here we have the choice between Assassin's Trophy or Chain Lightning. There's a Vampire Hexmage for the lands deck. So I think just the Chain Lightning, just again, more direct damage is going to be effective. So we'll pick up the 1 mana sorcery. And there's a Badlands coming around. Our manas look really good for our red-black and green splash. That's 3 red-black lands that we have, 2 of which are fetchable. We get our choice between Inquisition and Kozilek, Thundermaw Hellkite, Deathcap Glade, and there's also a Goblin Bombardment in here. We do have Daretti, which makes tokens. We have Goblin Ravelmaster, which makes tokens, and we have Bitter Blossom, which makes tokens. So I think we could pick up either the Bombardment, which I've never played with before, could try it, or the Kozilek, or the Deathcap Glade. You know I love some land. Something from here is going to wheel for us. All right, I'm just going to take the land, though the other cards looked very appealing. And there's a Bob, which, yeah, we have a Massacre Worm right now, but I think Bob will be great. Blackleaf Cliffs versus Nashi versus Fury. I want to try out, well, either Nashi or Fury here. We have 3 other black-red dual lands, so we don't need the Blackleaf Cliffs. Let's try out this Fury and see how effective it is. There's an Imperial Recruiter, which is always nice to have because it can help pick something out for our deck. Walking Ballista probably here over Volrath's Stronghold. There's a Huntmaster of the Fells wheeling along like we knew it would. And rounding out pack 3. Ooh, a 15th Goblin Bombardment. I think we can try that out. Okay, here's the deck. We ended up moving the Massacre Worm to the sideboard, bringing in Huntmaster of the Fells. Really loving our interaction here. We have 4 very strong Planeswalkers, and we're also trying out this new card, Goblin Bombardment, with our Bitter Blossom and our Rabble Master and our Daretti all making tokens. So I'm excited to try this one out. And instead of just going to match 1 and 2 and 3 like I normally do, I kind of want to showcase the best match of the series here, and that's going to be match 3. So we are going to jump into match 3, which is the finals for the trophy, and this has got to be one of the best games of Magic I have ever played. Very grindy. I do make 1 punt, but it is a great game of Magic, and I hope you enjoy. So with that, let's jump into the action. Okay, welcome to match 3. We're jumping straight in here to the best match of the league, and game 1 is a real banger. So our opening 7 here look pretty good. We got all our mana. We got a turn 1 play in Grim Lavamancer and 2 really powerful Planeswalkers. So we're going to snap keep this one. We are on the draw. All right, opponent leads out on an Esper Sentinel. Mono white, I feel like as long as we can stabilize here in a turn 3 or 4, we should be really good. Strip Mine is our draw. We're going to get the Grim Lavamancer on the board so that way we can activate it as soon as possible. So once it's done with Summoning Sickness, probably Strip Mine not going to be greatest here in mono white, but we'll see what's up. And the opponent gets in there with the Esper Sentinel. We're not going to block. This Grim Lavamancer is going to be too valuable here. Lelia was a pretty sweet draw. Now, our opponent did not have a turn 2 play, so I'm actually considering just throwing the Strip Mine down and setting them back a turn and just letting us continue to develop our draws here. If they would have had a turn 2 play, I think I would just play a regular land here so we can continue to develop our board. But since they didn't have a turn 2 play, I can pretty much guarantee they're not going to have another play next turn. Opponent again gets in here. I guess we need to play around Tithe, but I don't have anything to play here. Turn 2 Firebolt was a pretty decent draw. This should allow us to kill the Esper Sentinel and pay the 1. Now, if I pay the 1, we could run into a Tithe, which would be pretty bad, but yeah, all right, good. The Esper Sentinel gets out of there, and that puts 2 cards in the yard for our Grim Lavamancer. And then next turn, we're going to have our choice between Lelia, Liliana, Daretti, really whatever we want to do, which is going to be great. Okay, so our opponent is on 2 colors. They play Restoration of Aganjo, one of the new cards from Kamigawa. This is going to allow them to search up a plains, and then they'll be able to discard a card next turn to return a mana value 2 or less card to the battlefield, which they have the Esper Sentinel. So we'll see how this plays out for them, but some value represented over there in that card. Goblin Bombardment was interesting, but we are going to just slam Lelia here because they don't have a blocker out, and we're going to get in there for 4 damage right away. Who's the beatdown? White deck. And then when this card, the Restoration of Aganjo flips, it's a 3/4, which is pretty decent. So let's see what our opponent chooses to return. Yep, they're going to get back their Esper Sentinel, which makes sense. At least it enters the battlefield tapped. Okay, and now they have an answer, a Banishing Light for our Lelia. Unfortunate. But now we're going to have our choice of Planeswalkers here, either Liliana or Daretti. Ooh, Strip Mine. Okay. That's fine. We still have another land in hand, so that's good. That could have been really bad, though. And there's a Fury. I want to get Duretti on board here. It's going to allow us to make a 1/1. And the reason I'm doing this is because that Restoration of Aganjo is going to flip next turn into a 3/4, and I don't really have a good way to deal with a 3/4. So getting Duretti on the battlefield now is going to allow us to make that construct token that we can sack to destroy the flipped Restoration of Aganjo. The Architect of Restoration, I suppose it's named. Yeah, unfortunately, Duretti cannot blow up enchantments. All right, our opponent plays a Palace Jailer, which is pretty decent. All right, they decide to exile the construct token, which is smart because now our Duretti cannot destroy another creature right now because I need an artifact on the battlefield to activate that ability. And then our opponent now has the Monarch, so they're drawing cards. Taiga was our draw. I really want to deal with this 3/4, and I also want to get the Esper Sentinel off the battlefield. We do have multiple cards in the graveyard that we can exile with Grim Lavamancer. So I think we can actually clear their entire board here. We can exile Fury here to do 4 points of damage to that Architect. Yeah, it's card disadvantage, but I feel like getting the Monarch on our side of the battlefield is going to be pretty valuable. Then we'll be able to play Lily, tick down on the Esper Sentinel, and then we have the Grim Lavamancer to kill the Palace Jailer and just wipe our opponent's board, and that's going to feel really good here. So Fury, pretty effective there since it costs no mana to cast. Well, we'll play Liliana, and then we'll exile the 2 lands out of our graveyard. Unfortunately, our opponent gets to draw another card here after Esper Sentinel. We'll get Esper Sentinel off the battlefield, and we don't have to exile the Palace Jailer quite yet. We can activate our Grim Lavamancer at instant speed, so we'll wait to do that. All right, opponent untaps and is headed to combat, and we will just snap activate Grim Lavamancer here on the Palace Jailer attack. We'll exile our 2 lands. And now our opponent's staring down 2 active Planeswalkers, an active Grim Lavamancer. Hopefully we can get the Monarch token here next turn. Gruul Signet. And Ramunap Excavator. And a Thraben Inspector. Okay, trying to figure out a way to attack through this. Ooh, a Braid. That will do it. And it'll put another card in the yard for us. So let's tick down on Duretti to destroy the Ramunap Excavator. We can abrade the Thraben, or vice versa. We can abrade the Ramunap Excavator here. Pretty aggressive line, you know, sacking a construct token to kill a Thraben, but I think getting the Monarch token is going to be worth it. And then we'll uptick on our Liliana. We could always downtick on our Liliana and put Fury back in our hand. So we'll have to keep that in our mind. And we get the Monarch and get a land here at end of turn. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, with that land, we can downtick on our Lily and get our Fury back in our hand and cast Fury, which may be pretty strong depending on what our opponent plays here. All right, they're tapping a lot of mana. Oh no, Sun Titan? Oh man, that is a lot of value. Now I wish I had that construct token on the battlefield. Okay, and they're going to get back Restoration of Aganjo, which is going to be more value. This Sun Titan needs to die immediately. It is going to represent so much value on its attack here. All right, and we get a Rabble Master. So unfortunately, I cannot play Fury and activate Grim Lavamancer. We're 1 mana short. To get this Sun Titan off the board, I'm going to have to take a very aggressive line here. I'm going to need to downtick the Liliana to put Fury back in our hand and then exile. So here's my punt where I try to destroy the Sun Titan with the Grim Lavamancer instead of making a construct token. So it won't do anything. So we just downticked our Duretti for no reason and didn't put a construct on the board. So make sure you read your cards. But our aggressive line, we're going to have to downtick on Liliana here, put Fury back in our hand, exile Goblin Ravelmaster to cast Fury for free, and then activate Grim Lavamancer to do the last 2 points of damage against this Sun Titan to get the Sun Titan off the board. That is a lot of kind of resources expended, but this Sun Titan represents so much value, I won't be able to beat it if it sticks around. So we'll downtick Lily, cast by evoking here, exiling Goblin Ravelmaster. Yep, chill, no other way here. You only got 5 mana. You need 6 to do it the right way. So there's 4 points of damage to the Sun Titan at the cost of a card, essentially, which I guess isn't that bad, but we did have to downtick Lily to do it. And we exiled 2 more cards from our graveyard. So Sun Titan down. We still maintain the Monarch, which is great. Oh, and then we draw Huntmaster of the Fells. That was an awesome draw. But now we're going to have to deal with this Restoration of Aganjo again here. Really would have wished I had a construct token on the battlefield right now to sack next turn. All right, they get back Thraben Inspector, looking to draw some action, I suppose. They do have 2 clue tokens. Thraben Inspector, the white Ancestral Recall here, drawing our opponent 2 cards. All right, our opponent plays a Noble Hierarch, which we can uptick Lily to kill that. So we'll uptick Lily, make a construct token, play this Huntmaster of the Fells, and hold up a Grim Lavamancer activation. All right, so our opponent's Aganjo flips. We're going to have to deal with that 3/4 again. They play Lion Sash. Okay, well, that Lion Sash is going to be able to exile our Fury, which is unfortunate, which is going to kind of turn off our Grim Lavamancer. I really wanted to downtick Liliana to put the Fury back in our hand again, but it doesn't look like we're going to get to do that. And now we're going to have to deal with the Lion Sash as well. Luckily, we do have the construct token that we can deal with, but so now we got 2 threats to try to kill both the Architect of Restoration and the Lion Sash. And playing Lion Sash this late in the game, there's so many. Okay, yeah, there you go to exile our Fury. We'll let it go. We still have the 2 cards that we can exile with Grim Lavamancer. Playing a Lion Sash this late in the game represents such a large creature just because there's so much available white mana and so many permanents in both graveyards. And they play Retrofitter Foundry. Okay, that's a new card added to the cube. We'll see how well that works out for them. So they can make a servo token here. And we maintain the Monarch, which is nice, but they'll be able to equip that Lion Sash. We really got to deal with that thing. Another land, okay, less than ideal. Nothing in our graveyard to get back with Lily. So I think we start by blowing up the Lion Sash with our construct token. And then, because the way Huntmaster works, if we don't play any spells this turn, our Huntmaster will flip and it'll deal 2 damage to our opponent and target creature. And then we can use Grim Lavamancer to do another 2 points of damage. So we will be able to get the Architect off the board here just by flipping our Huntmaster, which is pretty sweet. Draw another card, which is awesome. All right, they're going to make a servo here, end of turn. Chain Lightning, all right. So here our Huntmaster flips. We'll deal 2 to our opponent and 2 to the Architect. And then also, since we're in their upkeep, we will activate Grim Lavamancer. All right, we got the Architect of Restoration off the battlefield, so that's good. Figure of Destiny, all right. We'll be able to pump that up. Yep, so the Kithkin becomes a 2/2. So they level up their figure to a 4/4, and they'll be able to make it their 8/8 next turn. So we have another threat we need to deal with here. And then they revoke her. What are they going to name? Please don't name Liliana. If they don't name Liliana, we can kill the figure. They name Liliana. Okay, probably because they want to keep, well, because Liliana could kill the Phyrexian Revoker, so they kind of have to name Liliana. All right. Well, I think we'll be able to kill the figure here. We have a Scalding Tarn on the battlefield and a Chain Lightning in hand, so we can always cast the Chain Lightning, crack the Scalding Tarn. That'll put 2 cards in our graveyard, and then we can activate Grim Lavamancer again. Or we can activate Grim Lavamancer on the Revoker, enabling our Liliana, and then we can also... All right, so get this. I think we cast Chain Lightning on Figure of Destiny, activate Revoker on Phyrexian, or I'm sorry, activate Grim Lavamancer on Phyrexian Revoker after cracking our Scalding Tarn. Yeah, our Ravager flips. And then we can tick up Liliana again on the Figure of Destiny. And I'll take out the Revoker and the Figure of Destiny. Oh, and we draw Lotus Petal. Okay, so we'll have no problem putting cards in our graveyard. So let's uptick Duretti. We'll play the Lotus Petal. We can crack the Lotus Petal for red. Play the Chain Lightning on the Figure of Destiny. We can activate the Grim Lavamancer on the Revoker, exiling the Lotus Petal and the Chain Lightning. And we had the Scalding Tarn, so we could have put another card in our graveyard. We didn't have to draw the Lotus Petal. And then now we have Liliana active again, which is sweet. And we can kill the Figure of Destiny. Okay, wow. That was I'm glad I was able to navigate that one to get those things off the battlefield, because that figure was going to be troublesome next turn. It definitely would have killed the Duretti for sure. And we maintain the Monarch and get to draw a card. This Monarch's been very valuable for us. All right, then our opponent makes a 1/1 Flying Thopter. That can get in to take the Monarch back, which they probably should do because then they can sack it to the Foundry. Yeah, okay. So we're not going to be able to do anything here. Oh, did they attack Lily? Oh, that's unfortunate. They attacked Liliana, so they don't get the Monarch back. We'll sack our Scalding Tarn just to thin our deck and get another card in the graveyard. And they didn't cast any spells, which means our Ravager is going to flip. We'll kill the Inspector on this one because they can tap the Retrofitter Foundry at any turn to sack their Thopter. And we get a Polluted Delta. Okay. I'm going to make them sack their Thopter this way. They have to do it now. Yep. And so now they're going to get a 4/4. We can take care of their 4/4 here, but they can always untap their Retrofitter Foundry just to remember. That card's pretty versatile, but it's very mana intensive. Construct Token takes out Construct Token. Nice. So now we can attack with our Ravager and our Wolf tokens, which that's awesome. Our opponent can make a blocker here with the Foundry. They do. But we can sack our Polluted Delta, put another card in our graveyard, and we can destroy that servo token. That'll allow us to get our 8 damage through for lethal. No more lands to search up, okay? That's it. All right, we got there. Yes. That was awesome. That game was freaking amazing. Wow. Okay. Whew. All right, in the sideboard, I think Massacre Worm's going to be pretty good against Mono White if we can get there. So want to bring that Bad Johnny in. And I'm probably going to take out the Escape to the Wilds. Like getting to 5 mana and just drawing cards is probably not going to work against Mono White or White-Green, whatever they are. But the Massacre Worm could be a big blowout later in the game. And I should probably take out the Strip Mine here and just put in another basic land, but I don't. I do swap a mountain for a swamp since we added a 3-pip Massacre Worm. And we'll send this one back. All right, here we are. Game 2. Again, this is match 3 for the trophy. We're going to be on the draw again. And this hand's good. We'll keep this for sure. Loving that Badlands, allowing us to cast our Nighthawk Scavenger. Plan to kill kind of any turn 1 play they have. Figure, yep, we're going to Blood Chief's Thirst that guy. Or we could Firebolt. So let's actually Firebolt because we could save Blood Chief's Thirst for something later in the game. Our opponent cracks a Windswept Heath, gets their Forest, and no turn 2 plays. That's good for us. We're going to slam Bob here. Please, no Mana Tithe. Bob resolves. And Bob's just going to enable so much card advantage. Raminop. All right. Do we kill the Raminop Excavator or do we save the Blood Chief's Thirst for a bigger threat later? Because they have the Windswept Heath in the graveyard. I'm not sure. Let's see what we draw here off of Bob. A Tarn and another land. Okay, Bob doing good work, getting lands out of our deck. So I don't want to play Rabblemaster. It's not going to work too well. We could Blood Chief's Thirst right now to kind of keep our opponent off of land recursion. Or we can play the Scavenger. It's already a 3/3 and we can just start beating down. If our opponent wants to recur a Windswept Heath and crack it for another point of life loss, then that'll just kind of help us out. So it looks like they're going to do that. And they want to get aggressive, which is fine, because I'm not going to attack with the Dark Confidant or block here. And they do nothing with 4 mana? Okay. We get a Bitter Blossom and a Blood Crypt. Since they attacked, I'm kind of just going to slam this Rabblemaster here and allow us to get a token going. They are holding up 4 mana, so they could be playing the Wandering Emperor or Restoration Angel. You got to keep that in mind. I'm okay to trade with a Restoration Angel here with the Nighthawk Scavenger. But I don't want to lose Bob, so I don't think I'm going to attack with Bob. The Wandering Emperor. Okay, that's kind of telegraphed. Always got to pay attention to that one. They're probably going to exile our Nighthawk Scavenger. They will. Okay, so that puts their Wandering Emperor down to a single loyalty for now. We have a Blood Chief's Thirst answer for that, which is kind of why we held onto Blood Chief's Thirst there at the beginning of the game instead of playing it on the Excavator. Oh, and then they just down tick for another Samurai token. All right, they're feeling under pressure. Goblin Bombardment. And we're making tokens. I like that. With a Bitter Blossom, so we have 2 token makers on the board. Let's see how this works out. So I think we just go to combat. Our Goblin tokens are going to attack, and then we'll be able to Goblin Bombardment however we choose. I'll probably just take out their Samurai token. Yeah, really interested to see how this Goblin Bombardment card plays in the Vintage Cube here. It's going to be pretty useful here since we're essentially going to be making 2 tokens a turn. All right, so they're going to block both. So in response, we're going to sack the one being blocked by the Ramanop Excavator and deal a damage to the Samurai token, and this will get the Samurai token off the battlefield. I love it. And we'll second main play this Bitter Blossom and start just making 2 tokens a turn. So I think Bob's drawn 3 extra cards for us so far this game, 2 of which were lands. Our opponent's got 6 mana. Banishing Light. What are they going to hit? The Lavamancer. Okay, well, that's a token generator off the board. I kind of see it. They get in there. No blocks. We stack these triggers. Bob, and then our Bitter Blossom. Grim Lavamancer was a great draw. Fury was also a great draw. So we can kind of do everything. We can play Fury here, get the Ramanop off the board, and play Grim Lavamancer post, and then just get in there with the Bob. And then also with the Goblin Bombardment on the board, like every creature is a point of damage. So we're representing 4 points of damage after we play this Grim Lavamancer. So Fury's kind of like a more effective Flame Tongue Kavu, because it does 4 points of damage just like Kavu does. It does cost a mana more because Kavu only costs 4 mana, but being able to evoke the Fury is just very flexible. And then I also get a 3/3 double strike, which is much better than a 4/2 Flame Tongue Kavu. So for all those cubers out there, if you're running Flame Tongue Kavu, it looks like you should take a look at Fury as a potential replacement. Okay, that's the trophy. Hey, those were some great games. Oh man, that was really fun to play and kind of showing the power of Fury and having our really good Planeswalkers. And that got us the trophy. So I really hope you enjoy chilling with me here today and you saw some great games of Magic, and I'll see you next time.